Hey guys, greetings and salutations. This is James. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate the support. I think this is like month 4 I've been doing this, so still kind of working out the kinks, learning the editing and everything like that. I'm here at Wilderness Park and I actually wanted to talk about a question that I get asked all the time. Why don't you date black women? And you black, why you ain't dating black women? So I actually want to start off with a quick story that'll really help launch into my answer, because the answer is not exactly what everyone would think. But I really want to share this because I think it really provides a really good foundation for my answer. So I'm gonna say back in my, I don't know, early to mid 20s, I was in the Los Angeles area, close to the Baldwin Hills area where I grew up. And in my community, primarily black and brown community, you know, I was actually connecting with a lot of people. I was living there with a lot of family members. I had nephews and nieces, and me and one of my nephews at the time, and we're kind of close in age actually, because my mom had me at a late age, and my sister, who is my nephew's mother, had, you know, him and his brother at a, you know, an early age. So we all ended up kind of having, you know, very close in age. But we used to hang out, me and one of my nephews, after work time, you know, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, you know, we would just hang out for 3, 4 hours every day on the weekday, just outside, you know, sometimes on the weekends as well. And we really didn't have much going on for us, so we would just chill, we would just hang out. And what was interesting about this whole dynamic is that there was this one girl out of all the girls in our block that everybody agreed unanimously that she was just the best looking girl, period. Her name, I'm gonna say, is Jess, okay? And Jess was this caramel complexion. She had this light brown complexion, really beautiful smile, beautiful physique. I always put on cute outfits, and she was always respectful. She didn't have anything like explicit on, and you know, but really cute, young lady, and everybody just knew that this was just the best looking girl, period. Like, you know, there's a lot of different ladies that were around, girls that were around, but everyone just agreed this was the lady that everybody would want, you know, at least all the guys did. And she actually had a pretty decent attitude. She wasn't really arrogant, at least I didn't get that from her as we were kind of connecting with her. But me and my nephew, and you know, his name is Nick, Nick and I, you know, very close, especially during that time, just hanging out, talking on our porch. And we lived on a busy street on Normandy, actually, in Los Angeles. So we were actually hanging out. We were, you know, always, but eventually, like, Jess started to get to know us and really liked our personalities. We had a very different vibe than a lot of the other guys around. Like, even though we, you know, found her attractive, we didn't really talk dirty to her or anything like that. So I think that grabbed her attention and we stood out. You know, we actually didn't, like, you know, look at her like a piece of meat, you know. And so she would hang out with us, and she always had one of her brothers that would hang out with us. You know, sometimes we would kind of go on her end, at the end of the block, you know, all the way at the end of the block, and just hang out in front of her house, where, you know, her porch area. But sometimes, you know, she would just hang out on our porch, you know, and our area was just very inviting, you know, I'm gonna say. It was one of those areas where everybody else had all these gates, and our place was the only place that didn't really have a gate. So, you know, anybody could, you know, just walk up and just kind of sit down. But we were hanging out one day, and I remember, and this was the day that really was a defining moment for me, and so I really want you guys to hear what I'm about to say. But I remember one time Jess was hanging out with one of her younger brothers, and she always had a little brother with her, and you know, he was spending time with us. Me and Nick were, you know, outside just being silly, and we used to do this little game where we would pretend like we're fighting for Jess, you know, because, you know, we would just say, oh, she's my girl, you know, and she would just laugh. She was, you know, she loved the fact that we admired her, and we, you know, we didn't actually genuinely want to fight for her, you know, but I think that either one of us would have been fine with, if, you know, one of us connected with her, we would have been fine with that. You know, I would have loved Nick to connect with her. I think Nick wouldn't have mind if I connected with her. But one time, you know, and Nick, you know, had a lighter complexion as well, lighter than Jess, but really cool guy. You know, always been a handsome guy that attracted a lot of attention, you know, from ladies especially in our community. But always been one of those guys that, you know, he attracted attention from just ladies. So that was something he grew accustomed to. And what was very interesting is, I think we were talking about dating preferences one day, and we were talking about just, you know, what type of person we would date and that kind of stuff. Just me, Nick, Jess, you know, her little brother was just listening to us, and we were on our porch on Normandy, the street, and I remember there was a guy that was just about my complexion that was walking right in front of us, just walking through. He was just walking through. And I remember Jess was talking about her preferences, and then she said, oh, and you see that guy? See, now that is way too dark for me. That is way too dark. And before I can even process everything that she said about this guy, and the guy didn't hear, he was just walking by. But I remember Nick actually brought to her attention the fact that I was the same complexion. And how could she have the audacity to say that right in front of me? And, you know, I'm still kind of in the process of trying to, like, figure out, like, oh, she was talking about that guy, and oh, and I'm realizing, oh, he's my complexion, oh, she, you know. And then she kind of looked at me, and I could tell she was almost, like, ashamed of what she said, and her conscience must have messed with her. But she took it back, and she said, oh, yeah, but you're not that dark, you know, and she tried to, like, clean it up. But I realized right at that moment that I would not be able to connect with this girl. Like, I was too dark for her. You know, and I started to really look back at a lot of my, a lot of interesting situations around that time in my life. And this is like between my early and mid-20s. I realized that a lot of ladies in my community was not attracted to me because either I didn't talk with the slang, I wasn't a part of some gang, I wasn't promiscuous, I wasn't, you know, I wasn't getting all this illegal money, I wasn't, you know, I didn't have no street cred or whatever else you want to, you know, but I just was not the type of person to, I was not the type of person that, you know, attracted a lot of these ladies. And a lot of them, they were in the process of, you know, really taking interest in guys that were just doing things that I really stand against, especially as a Christian man today. You know, I'll just put it that way. But most importantly, I realized that for some people in our community, having a darker complexion meant that you're ugly, that you're unattractive, that you are the rejected, you know. And I realized that over time, even in my own family, there were times when people were making jokes, you know, and it's very interesting because I often have been told by people in the black and brown community that, you know, it's white people that give us an issue and white people that don't like our complexion and white people that make fun of us. But, you know, I'm 39 years old today. This is, you know, 2023, 2022. And I'm thinking to myself, not once have I ever really been encountered that sort of racist, you know, a rhetoric from anyone other than my own community. Other than my own community. I've always heard it just from people in my community. And still to this day, I still hear it. Sometimes it's online. There's a disagreement, and instead of somebody providing an argument from my community, they'll come after me and talk about my hair, talk about my hair texture, talk about my nose, talk about, you know. And so I just grew accustomed to that. And so I, from that, took it as, okay, I'm obviously, you know, single and I'm not wanted in my community, so I will stop focusing on the ladies in my community. And it wasn't something that, you know, it wasn't something about like I wasn't attracted to black women. There are plenty of black women, you know, even still to this day, that I'm very attracted to, that I think is very beautiful and very stunning. But there was something in my mind around that time, after Jess with her rejection towards my complexion and some other comments that I received around that time, that just built up something that I just said, I can't put myself in this position. I can't keep applying myself to these beautiful black women if they don't want me, you know. And so I backed off. And it was more of a mental, psychological thing for me. And I started noticing that when I was around Latin ladies, or when I was around women that were, you know, had a white Caucasian background, or Filipino, you know, Pacific Islander, or Asian, like, it was because of my black culture, it was because of my complexion that made me stand out, that they were intrigued by me almost, you know, that they were intrigued by my braids, they were intrigued by the way that I speak, they were intrigued by how clothes look on me, or how my mannerisms were different than theirs, you know. And so to me, it almost made me feel like a celebrity. I enjoyed that, you know, and still to this day, you know, I have a lot of friends from different cultures, you know. One of my closest friends is from Berlin, you know, he's a white guy, he's German, and, you know, he just bought a house right now, so I'm very proud of him, you know. Yeah, but, you know, I have some amazing people in my life that appreciate me for whom it is that I am. But I've never stopped being attracted to black women, but, you know, there's obviously, you know, it doesn't matter what culture, you know, we point at. There's always going to be ladies that you're not attracted to in certain communities. There's certain Asian women I'm not attracted to, and others that I really am, you know, or ladies that are Pacific Islanders that they're not my cup of tea, but there are some in the community that are. And so it's the same thing with black women. There are some that obviously don't resonate with me. I'm not attracted to them, but others I am, you know. And it could be a chocolate girl, like, you know, same complexion as me, and it could be, you know, a lady sometimes even a little bit taller or short or whatever. There are plenty of black women that I'm attracted to. However, I just realized that it was just something that it did something to me from a psychological standpoint, and maybe this is something I should explore more in future videos, but I stopped. I stopped dealing with a lot of the comments, and I just couldn't take it anymore, I guess. And so I just kind of stopped focusing on black women, not because I thought that, you know, they were unattractive, but I just thought I was not worthy of them. I just thought I'm not one of the guys that they would want, you know. I'm 5'9", you know, I'm like average, you know, height, you know, and there's a lot of women that I know that they want a taller guy, or they want a guy that's making a lot of money and he has a lot of property, or perfect teeth, or perfect this, and it's like, I'm not that guy. I'm not the guy. I'm a Christian guy, I'm an ordinary guy, I'm a layman, I'm a faithful guy, I love the Lord, but I'm not that guy. And so I just assume that, well, if I can't have someone in my community, I'll just, you know, explore another community, someone that's gonna be receptive to me. So that's where I am with that. So it has nothing to do with I'm not willing to date or marry a black woman. It's just, I just always believed I didn't have the right tools to attract a woman that would really, you know, connect with me, you know. And I do think that there are a lot of different things that we have to deal with in the black community, and perhaps I will explore that in further videos. There's a lot that needs to be said about our community and areas that we need to work on, you know, including the areas of commenting on, you know, just putting each other down and things like that. I think it's really sad that I'm 39 years old and not once have I been insulted by anybody of another culture, but the people in my own community. You know, that's something I'm very proud to say. Think about that for a moment. That's the only community that has ever put me down about my complexion, about anything about my attributes. And all the other communities, I've never heard that. If anybody ever insulted me, it was they were insulting my intelligence or something like that. But you know, so it's just different, you know. So yeah. So hopefully that'll just clear up that misconception. I'm James. Thank you for just checking out this video. I appreciate the support. Like I said, this is like the 4th month I've been doing this, so still learning a lot. Even learning about the lighting. I'm trying to figure out, you know, is this, you know, how does this work with the lighting and outside and things like that. God bless you guys. Thank you. Please like and subscribe. I would appreciate the support. And please comment on this. This is one of those topics I would love to actually get some feedback on. All right, peace and thank you.